Hi, I'm Helena Kastanis, founder of Changing Plates, Nutrition Network, LCHF advisor and health coach. And I'm here to talk to you about the LCHF lifestyle. Low carb healthy fat is basically eating real whole food. The low carb lifestyle is about healing your body from the inside out. We all have various reasons for wanting to improve our health. Often we get to a crossroads and are confronted by the stark reality of a seemingly rapid decline in our well-being, even though without us realizing it, we have been on that path for many, many years, decades even. Or you may have received a medical diagnosis that has shocked you into action, or you're in pretty good nick, but you just want to take your well-being to the next level. Either way, you're here to learn more and put your feet on the path to better health. So welcome to the amazing gathering that is the Low Carb Lifestyle Long Weekend Summit. Low carb healthy fat is just that, reducing carbohydrate in your diet and eating healthy, saturated fats and protein. LCHF is an umbrella term, if you like, that encompasses a myriad of eating plans that follow this method. There is an emphasis on whole, unprocessed food, animal protein, so meat, fish, eggs, low carb, non-starchy vegetables, natural fats like olive oil, butter, ghee, and avocado oil, and avoiding sugar and highly processed carbohydrates, grains, and industrial seed oils, things like vegetable canola oil. It is an ancestral approach to eating, and it certainly is not a fad. Man has been eating this way for thousands of years. We are living through a pandemic at the moment, a health crisis, and it's called obesity and type 2 diabetes. If diabetes continues to rise at the current rate, up to 3 million Australians over the age of 25 years will have diabetes by 2025. Type 2 diabetes represents 85 to 90% of all cases of diabetes and is usually detected in adults over the age of 45. But it is increasingly occurring in younger age groups, including children, adolescents, and young adults. Decades of eating highly processed foods which have been marketed as healthy, theories based on mere hypotheses regarding the dangers of high cholesterol, and the demonizing of saturated fats have seen our diet flooded with low-fat, high processed foods that are cooked in toxic seed oils. It's cheap, it's in abundance, and it's killing us slowly. The government-endorsed and big food-funded dietary guidelines that has shaped our food landscape for the past 50 years is a map to the billion-dollar big food and pharma industries rather than a guide to nutrition and health, and that's the reality. We now know that sugar and not saturated fat is the main cause for chronic inflammation in the body. So heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, cancers, autoimmune diseases, arthritis, hypertension, metabolic syndrome, Alzheimer's disease, the list goes on and on and on. They're all linked to inflammation. So what is inflammation? It's your body's process against fighting things that harm it, such as infections, injuries, toxins, in an attempt to heal itself. Chronic inflammation happens when this response lingers, leaving your body in a constant state of alert. Constant high levels of triglycerides, sugars in your bloodstream also cause inflammation and insulin resistance, and this in turn leads to chronic disease. So what's that got to do with cutting out the carbs? And what does grain have to do with sugar? Well, something that a lot of people don't understand is that carbohydrates are metabolized as glucose in our bodies. So all that low fat, no sugar added healthy food we are buying and consuming, stuffing our faces with it and our kids' lunch boxes because they're the healthy options, most are actually sky high in carbohydrates, which is sugar. A simple example is that the vast majority of things in the health food aisle in the supermarket are made of rice, be it rice itself, rice flour, or rice protein. Rice has a very high glycemic index and can quickly raise blood glucose to very high levels. When we consume a lot of high glycemic foods, we increase our insulin resistance and make it harder to control our blood sugar. So why is there so much rice in the health food aisle? These are confusing messages for the consumer who think they're doing the right thing, but sadly they're not. Things like cereals, rice crackers, corn thins, whole grain breads, wraps, muesli bars, and most fruits are actually very, very high in sugars. In addition to this, we're eating highly processed foods, fast foods cooked in seed oils, and consuming an excess of grain. So what's wrong with all that? Well, at least it's not actually sugar, and that's the point. It is. For instance, a cup of oats cooked in half a cup of milk, a sliced up banana, and a drizzle of honey, well, that's considered a healthy breakfast. But that's also packed full of sugar, the equivalent to almost 15 teaspoons of sugar, 59 grams of carbohydrates. And that's just breakfast. Imagine that number by the time we're done with our sushi for lunch and a diet soda, fruit, crackers or biscuits in the afternoon, and your dinner of a healthy stir fry and a bowl of rice. Your blood sugar is sky high, up and down all day long, lifting you up and crashing you down multiple times a day. And it seems like a healthy day, but the truth is that this is the constant stream of glucose. It's causing so much damage to our bodies. We aren't overweight and sick because we're eating too much. It's about what we are eating, not how much we are eating. We have been eating a low-fat, high-sugar diet for decades, and now we're sicker than we have ever been. In stark contrast, if you instead opt for a couple of eggs, a piece of bacon, and a quarter of an avocado, you've hit just 4 grams net carbs, which is 1 teaspoon of sugar. This will also keep you feeling fuller for longer and won't spike your blood sugar. It's a big, big difference with just a small change. So chuck the breakfast cereal in the bin. It is not the most important meal of the day. In fact, it's basically junk food. So how did I get here? Well, after having 2 kids, I, like a lot of women out there, was carrying extra weight, but thought I was eating healthily enough. I thought I was eating less than everybody around me. I joined a gym a couple of times and tried every diet under the sun. Nothing worked for me. I was waking up with a really sore back and side every morning. I was yawning and fatigued all the time. I was a professional cake decorator and was averaging about 5 hours of sleep, if that, most nights. So I just felt tired all the time. I put that down to being busy wife, working mum, and that was just the way it was for me. It was my normal. So I was convinced I was doing everything right, thought maybe it's my thyroid playing up and I can't lose weight. So I went and had some blood tests done, and lo and behold, I had high levels of inflammation in my body and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. I just couldn't believe it. At that time too, my mother-in-law, who's been a type 2 diabetic for 30 years, was staring down the barrel of dialysis because her kidneys were just packing it in. It was at that point that we both decided to try a CGM. Now, CGM is a continuous glucose monitor. When you're wearing a CGM, you literally see the sugar spike your blood glucose and then watch as that line makes its downward trajectory as your insulin goes to work to stabilize your blood sugar. If you're insulin resistant, it takes much longer for your blood sugars to stabilize and return to normal levels. So untreated, elevated blood sugars cause not only type 2 diabetes, but also other complications such as kidney disease, blindness, amputation, nerve damage, heart disease, and the list goes on and on and on again. The CGM provides clarity and real-time data around your blood sugar levels and how effective your insulin is. So you can track and monitor how certain foods affects you and how quickly your body responds. So if you don't believe you have a problem, whack one of those on and you'll see it for yourself. It is a roller coaster in there. Your body is struggling every single day if you're eating a large amount of carbohydrate and food that is high in sugars. And because we don't eat a donut one day and then the next day we wake up and we visibly have diabetes, it takes years for this problem to come to the fore. So we aren't taking insulin resistance seriously enough. All the chronic diseases I mentioned before have insulin resistance in common. By the time you're diagnosed with pre-diabetes or diabetes, or even just insulin resistant, your body's already ravaged by inflammation. So it's been fighting for up to a decade. The CGM is a window into your bloodstream and helps you understand how your hormones are responding to sugars. So we jumped in, we had nothing to lose. The endocrinologist certainly wasn't improving my mother-in-law's health, and I also needed to do something to improve mine. So we jumped in. No counting macros, no diet plans, very basic grassroots kind of stuff. So this is the beauty of LCHF. You can track everything, be regimented in your approach, but like I said earlier, that doesn't work for everyone. When you're 76 and you don't speak English and you're not tech savvy, it has to be a workable, practical, and simple solution. LCHF can be both, and it's beautiful. It's not a diet, it's just how we eat now. It's a lifestyle. So it's not restrictive. I don't deprive myself of food. I eat until I'm full. In fact, I eat more now than what I ever did. So what did we do to get it going? Well, to start, we changed what was on our plates and learned how to read the nutrition panel on the foods we were buying. We swapped out rice crackers for seed crackers, ditched the cereals and made our own paleo-style granola. We pulled the low-fat milk out and replaced it with full cream in our coffee. We discovered low-carb baking and filled our plates with protein, non-starchy vegetables, creamy cheese, eggs, butter, and made an effort to move daily. After a little while, intermittent fasting was also introduced and life got a lot easier. So my mother-in-law did about 20 minutes of walking every other day. That was it. It didn't have to be more complicated than that. Within 18 months, she had come off 15 medications, reversed her type 2 diabetes, which is pretty amazing. She dodged dialysis and even improved her kidney function. She's lost more than 20 kilos and feels incredible. She has a new lease on life, and between us, we have lost almost 50 kilos. I did this crazy thing in my mid-40s and started running 2 years ago this week, actually. So since I've completed 6 half marathons, if you told me I was capable of that 2 years ago, I would have scoffed at the thought. I didn't run unless something was chasing me. I don't wake up in pain anymore, and I've never felt fitter in my life. Living a low-carb lifestyle means that we have adapted our cooking and what we offered our families at the same time. The whole family is low-carb. Sure, every now and again, the kids will want pasta or some potatoes with dinner, and that's fine. They're metabolically healthy and their bodies can adapt and be flexible. There's absolutely nothing wrong with your kids adapting to a low-carb lifestyle. Type 2 diabetes and obesity are on the rise in preteens in this country. The more processed carbohydrate and sugar you can cut out of their diet, the better. There's no need to cook separately. If you lead by example, they will learn and it will become their normal. We all have to unlearn this belief system we have built around food. In the home is the perfect place to start. Eating processed food out of a packet will become very strange, and they will unconsciously make better choices as they get older and are more independent when it comes to their food and how they choose to nourish their bodies. Is it always perfect? No, nothing is. The less sugar they consume, the better. And remember, there's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. You're not robbing your children of nutrients. It's like saying we drink orange juice for the vitamin C. Actually, 400 ml of orange juice has about 35 grams of sugar in it. That's 9 teaspoons. So you may as well be drinking Coke. It's honestly just about knowing the difference and knowing and recognizing what it is that you're putting into your body. The nuances around how to implement a low carb diet and how many carbs you need to have, well, that depends on you. In very broad terms, it is advised that we aim for under 100 grams of carbs per day. Experiment, see how you feel, and take it a day at a time. You can be low carb, you can be moderate carb, keto, carnivore, combine it, ketovore, whatever works for you. Anything is better than the standard dietary guidelines that have failed the last couple of generations. If you cannot afford or cannot access organic, just buy the best quality food you can find. You don't have to buy anything special to get the job done. Unfortunately, the diet industry has also infiltrated the LCHF space. But please know that anything marketed as low carb or keto that's in a packet is still processed food. You don't need it. It might be low in sugars, but there's a bunch of ingredients in there that you don't need to be putting into your body. Don't waste your money. Just eat real food. The freedom that comes from being able to be real about this is that you don't have to have the latest this and that. There's no pressure to keep up with anything or anyone. It is very simple. Don't be sucked in by the hype. Just eat real whole food. That's it. So this is what I have learned, and this is what I want to share with you. The crux of it is that we are all responsible for our own health. We have to take charge. We have to want to take responsibility. Through my experience, I have learned that doctors are not responsible for your health. Typically, they will diagnose a problem and give you some medication to control your symptoms. But doctors are not trained in nutrition. They are trained to treat symptoms and medicate or operate to manage it. My mother-in-law was diabetic for 30 years. She saw GPs, specialists, diabetes educators, nurses, nutritionists, endocrinologists, and she got sicker and sicker and sicker. Her medications increased, her symptoms got worse, she suffered multiple strokes, she had a pacemaker fitted, her cognitive ability was rapidly diminishing, she was having severe episodes of high blood pressure that saw us rush her to the emergency department on multiple occasions. And she was gaining weight and unable to lose it because she was on 54 units of insulin per day. And that was increasing at every checkup. All this because the cause of her symptoms wasn't being treated. She was told she could eat up to 300 grams of carbs a day and just take her insulin. But also she needed to lose weight. We now know that when you are constantly injecting insulin, it is impossible to lose weight. No one told her to cut the carbohydrates out of her diet. Even now, the advice on our government's website about how to treat type 2 diabetes includes eating whole grains. It's crazy. She was diabetic, which basically means she was carbohydrate intolerant. Remove the excess and refined carbohydrates and sugars from her diet, and voila, blood sugar dropped. We reduced the amount of insulin she needed to inject as her body started to heal, and eventually she didn't need it at all. The weight started to come off. The medications weren't necessary anymore because her symptoms were disappearing one by one. Her pancreas kicked in and her body was able to produce enough insulin to regulate her blood glucose as she improved her insulin sensitivity. So 30 years of misery was turned on its head within 12 months. And all she did was change what she ate. She didn't eat less, but she ate differently, and there's the silver bullet. She was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and she was determined not to continue on that path. So that was her why. The improvement in her health was her motivation to keep going. Knowing how miserable and sick she was is her motivation to stay on the path and never go back. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. We have the power to heal ourselves. My fatty liver has been reversed. I've lost 27 kilos and my blood work is spot on. Incredibly, I now call myself a runner and I feel amazing. So what we have learned is that when you remove the cause, the symptom goes away by default. Being overweight or obese or type 2 diabetic or suffering any of the plethora of chronic diseases that are spawned by the overload of sugars in our diet are symptoms of lifestyle choices. They need to be treated with lifestyle changes. When you live a low carb lifestyle, you're not just eating differently, you're healing. Inflammation in your body subsides, chronic pain can completely disappear, autoimmune conditions improve and can also be reversed. You have mental clarity, you feel like a completely different person because you're healing inside out from a cellular level. And the magic is when our body unlocks its ability to use stored fat as fuel because it's no longer exclusively running on glucose. This is metabolic flexibility. Your ketones kick in and you're a fat burner. So keto is not a diet or a fad, it's a metabolic state. You're no longer starving every few hours because your insulin isn't working overtime to reduce spikes in your blood sugars for you only to crash and want a quick fix, a sugary hit. You become metabolically flexible. You burn glucose and fat. You're eating until you're full at every meal. You're feeling amazing and wondering why you didn't do this 10 years ago. And you're losing weight. So you can see that the LCHF lifestyle is not about dieting. There is no restriction on food intake at all. It's about making different choices. So if you want sustained long-term success with your health, then it's about finding something that you can do for life. The LCHF lifestyle is not a 6 to 8 week program to lose 6 kilos and fit into that little black dress for Susan's wedding. That's not going to change your life. Long-term health cannot just be about the weight loss. It's a holistic mindset approach to your inner and outer well-being. So what do we mean by lifestyle? Well, that encompasses all aspects of our life. How we sustain our bodies, how we manage stress, how we manage our mindset and attitude, and perhaps one of the most important aspects is how much good quality sleep we get. Some would argue that more important than exercise is a good 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep a night. If you don't get good quality sleep, your body tricks itself into feeling stressed. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is then released into your bloodstream. Glucose follows and our blood sugar increases. So when glucose goes up, insulin comes along to lower your sugars, and then ketones drop, and then it's harder to stay in ketosis and use your fat for fuel. On the flip side, your hunger hormone, ghrelin, increases, and leptin, which is your satiety hormone, goes down. It's a roller coaster, right? So the lack of good quality sleep makes you hungry, you wake up tired, you wake up starving, and when you eat, you're less satisfied, and this leads to you making poor decisions. So when you're sleeping, you're also detoxifying, you're burning fat, and you're healing. So I mentioned before, I was averaging about 5 hours sleep a night. I was chronically exhausted. I ended up getting alopecia and needed steroid injections to help me grow my hair back. And the first thing I was asked at that clinic was, well, how much sleep are you getting a night? I had no idea that it was so important for your overall health. So this becomes part of your lifestyle when you begin to make choices that benefit your health. So instead of staying up until 1:30 in the morning on a Netflix binge, you can choose to go to bed because you prioritize your health and you want to be at your best every day because you want to feel good. When you start to make changes on your plate, you start to notice physical and mental changes. So this lifestyle is about being patient, about giving yourself grace when things get tough and showing yourself love. Self-love is also key. For example, when your child is upset or falls over, you don't say, oh, you're hopeless, you just can't do anything right. I can't rely on you to see things through. You're such a disappointment, don't even bother. How many times have you heard that negative self-talk? Oh, just give it up, you can't do this. Instead, try, it's okay, you were doing so well all day, it's just a bump in the road. You can get back on the path and you'll be awesome. Learning to speak to what we need, to regard ourselves in positive and an encouraging light, and realizing that negative self-talk is a choice, that we are worthy of love. This is life-changing when we learn that our mental health and physical well-being are entwined. There are plenty of thin people out there full of self-loathing. Physical appearance is not the only indicator of good health. The physical healing that happens when you're on this path will undoubtedly have a profound effect on your perception of self, how you prioritize your time, your health, and how you project your energy in your day-to-day in order to love yourself. Other tools in your toolbox might include meditation, mindfulness, and practicing gratitude daily. These are all excellent ways of boosting your well-being and may help you manage your stress, high blood pressure, sleep better, and feel more balanced and connected. And this is even shown to lower your risk of heart disease. So this is the learning that comes with a low-carb lifestyle. learning to nourish your body and your mind, learning about your body and how it works and why it responds to the food the way it does, learning about what nourishment is and learning to love yourself in a way that you weren't even aware of before. So give yourself grace. Nothing is perfect. There isn't a magical date or a number that we reach, then we're done. That's it. We are a work in progress, constantly learning and experimenting and improving. So once you start to scratch the surface of the LCHF lifestyle, you'll discover this rabbit hole that is often referred to. You go deeper and deeper and discover the truth about nutrition, the importance about nourishing your body and your mind, and you will discover a whole world of people who are supportive, generous with their knowledge, and who have all been on this journey themselves. From doctors, sports physiologists, scientists, to holistic practitioners and everyday people like me have walked this path, experienced the incredible epiphany that the LCHF lifestyle presents to us, and who are passionate about sharing their knowledge and experience so that one person at a time we can help others heal, and in turn they can inspire more people to take control of their health. Together we can curb this tsunami of chronic non-communicable disease that is decimating populations all over the world. Yes, low carb healthy fat is about an ancestral whole food approach to nutrition, but it's also about how we nourish our bodies from the inside out. It's about understanding what our bodies do with food. It's about healing. It's about gratitude. It's about leading by example and being curious. It's about living your best life and giving yourself the gift of long-term health. The beautiful thing about LCHF is that it can be personalized to meet your needs. There is never a one-size-fits-all approach to health. We're all different. We all have different needs. We are at different stages of our health journey, and most importantly, we are continuously learning. And if this is all new and shiny and a little overwhelming, it doesn't have to be. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Don't let others discourage you from making changes. You may come across people who aren't comfortable with changes they see in you, and that's okay. Ultimately, that's their problem, not yours. Please know that there is support out there, and if you don't find it amongst your current friendship group, then I can assure you there are many low carb support groups and networks out there. Here in Australia, we have Low Carb Melbourne, which I am part of the admin team with Tracy McBeath, along with some other amazing people presenting during this summit. A group of people from all walks of life. We have people who are on the LCHF path, we have people who are curious, we have doctors, holistic practitioners, nutritionists who advocate LCHF, meditation experts, and health coaches to guide you on your way, like me. There are several other groups too, all with an abundance of resources and supportive people. There is knowledge, generosity, support, and love out there. Find your tribe, eat real food, march to the beat of your own drum, and live your long, best, healthy, independent, glorious, and happy life. Enjoy the summit.